All right, so I managed to make it here early enough we can talk about the news before class. I'm making a video of this. That's what I like to do in the first 10 minutes when we can. So this guy hit the news about a year ago. He married a hologram, and there's some kind of software that enabled him to converse with his hologram, and that software is no longer available. So now he is still married to the hologram, but he can no longer communicate with it. So he continues to be faithful to his hologram and hopes that one day they will develop the software so we can communicate with it again. The technical details I'd like to understand. I'm surprised this hasn't happened more often. I mean, Elijah from the 60s had a simple chat bot, and people would feel like it was a real person and develop an emotional attachment to it. So it's, I'm not surprised at all of this. I'm just surprised it didn't happen decades ago. People really do form attachments on the basis of very little information. Anyway, so Flare-On is coming. Flare-On is the Mandiant Malware Analysis CTF. They have it every year. It is very good. It is just very difficult. But quite a few of the projects in my 126 class I got from this. This is malware analysis. And so one great thing about it is right on target. It's by the primary incident response company in the world. It's the most important stuff to know. And it goes for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And at the end, they publish complete solutions. So if it's too hard, you can read the solutions, and that's what I often have to do. I can usually only solve the first couple easiest ones, but you might want to try it. Anybody who tries it is worth extra credit. And afterwards, I always read through it and pick out the easy ones and add it to my class. So it's good, but I learned a whole lot of advanced things I never knew about from there. All right. And, oh, yeah, I'll get that later. All right, so they're trying to develop ways to deliver medicine through the skin, and apparently the new trick is nanodiamonds, tiny, tiny diamonds to which they attach medicine, and that will flow through the skin and even into cells without harming them, carrying the medicine into the cells. And they can mark them and detect them and see where they went and measure them. So this might be a wave of the future. And this one is kind of interesting. I never got too deeply into particle physics. I did get a PhD in physics, and I learned the basics, but I don't remember how this one works. There are quarks. The proton is made of quarks, but one of the quarks that is sometimes found in there is heavier than the whole proton, but somehow the mass is masked or something. So anyway, an interesting article if you want to get into the quarks and the fundamental particles a little bit. So here's an important one. The cybersecurity field has been largely unregulated because, as we all know, the existing government regulations don't cover it very well, and the rulers of our government typically are non-technical and can't even understand what we're talking about, and it keeps changing, and a whole lot of the general wisdom is unclear. That's why for years, decades, they've been talking about requiring everybody that works in cybersecurity to have some kind of credential, but they're not sure what that would be, and so on. So, but many people say it's now coming because, of course, there are so many cyber disasters with the oil pipeline and many others that the government has more and more need to do something. So they say a whole new suite of regulations are in the offing. From all these agencies are trying to develop rules. Many state rules have been passed and so on. So anyway, they're telling people what you can do to get ready here, which is pretty good. You know, things like Colonial Pipeline pointed out to people that it is a national security issue and you have to do something. So one issue is to expect, right now, you do not have to report when you get breached, not very much at all. You only have to report to your customers if you lose their data, but you don't have to report to government agencies in most cases. And they say they're going to try and fix that. They're going to make a reporting requirement. So people should expect that. And but it's already very difficult. For if you have a cyber incident, exactly how bad does it have to be before you have to report it? What happens if you stop an attack? Is that an incident or not? And the rules are not clear. So there's an issue here. And but anyway, they have some recommendations. Make sure you have good procedures, and check your ransomware policies, because everybody should be planning to be hit by ransomware. It's kind of inevitable. So you put in defenses you can, and then have some plans, like who's in charge, are we going to pay the ransom, and things like that. And prepare for the software bill of materials. Many companies are doing this now. Because of the SolarWinds attack, which was a supply chain attack, where the Russians hacked into a company and they poisoned the source code, for a legitimate update from the company, and everybody updated their software, and now they were owned by the Russians, and that's still going on. It'll probably be years before you get that all cleaned up. So the huge push came for checking all the sources of your software, all the libraries, all the dependencies. Make sure you can list them all, and it would really be nice if you could find out if they're really all the latest version or something like that. And so more and more they're requiring this software bill of materials for companies, starting with the government, but pretty soon it's going to move to almost everywhere.
That's listing all the supply chain stuff?
Yes, that's it. The software bill of materials is, you tell me you're using this product, and you have to list all the components that go into that product, just like the ingredients list on a box of food. You have to know all the libraries and all the libraries they draw from, and then answer questions like what nation did that come from and things like that. And when was it updated, and does it have a known vulnerability in the version you're using, which is very difficult, especially if you use things like yeah, maybe the developer or the end user, somebody has to, yeah, but they're requiring it more and more in government, and probably more and more of that's going to happen.
No, EU is demanding the developer to verify.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the EU was making developers do it. That's interesting.
They demanded verify the stuff you share.
Yeah. Well, it's good that somebody does, and the EU is way ahead of us on these cybersecurity regulations. They're ahead of us on privacy, and they're ahead of us on the other issues anyway. So it's good to know that all this is coming. So Crypto.com, which I think are the people that got Matt Damon to give a famous commercial to sell crypto, they accidentally refunded somebody $10 million instead of $100 because they typed their account number into the amount field. So it was a big, long number. So anyway, then, well, they took the money and bought a house, and now they're suing, demanding the money back and demanding they sell the...
Users cashed the check.
Of course, the users cashed the check and spent the money. Well, they're suing, and it's in court, but they're now demanding that they sell the house and give the money back. So we'll see what happens.
The government sends a court rule in the U.S. rule that any company send a check and then a cash the check, the user cash the check, and that's it.
I don't know if that's a federal law. I know that, by the way, is a Florida law. Because in Florida, I happen to know this because of my days in claims administration for these kind of lawsuits. If you're in Florida and anybody sends you anything, a box, a package, anything, you didn't order it, it's yours. You get to keep it, because there are so many scams in Florida, because they keep scamming the old retired people.
I think it's a federal law.
Yeah, maybe it is. I know it's true in Florida. It'd be nice if it's federal law too. If they send it to you, you get to keep it.
Some people got Social Security check, so...
Oh, if it comes from the government, well, that's what I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what the Australian law is, and I guess maybe that's what would apply here, or maybe the law wherever this company is incorporated. What's that?
Is she in Australia?
Yeah, the check went to people in Australia. But the company, I think, is maybe American, so I guess it would be American law. I'm not quite sure. Got to check with a lawyer.
10 million, it's not that much.
Well, not in the world of crypto, it isn't. Apparently you can get a good house for $10 million in Australia, wherever she is. Anyway, so this woman ran what sounds like what the Russians call pig slaughtering, hog slaughtering. She made a investment company and got people to invest and promised them big rewards, but had endless excuses why the money isn't coming. Then said, gee, I lost all the money, but you'll get your money, and then just fled to Thailand with the money. So anyway, she was a YouTuber pushing this investment scheme, and she apparently got $55 million. So we'll see what happens. Now, I wonder if Thailand has extradition back to other countries. I imagine probably not. Anyway, that's... I guess she is, yeah. And I think her victims were from Thailand, too. She's publishing this stuff in that language. But apparently, so I don't know, but she's on the run with the money. So we'll see what comes of that. But there's so many scams in the crypto space. That's just another one. And so Michael Saylor is a huge whale in Bitcoin. His company, called MicroStrategy, primarily just buys a lot of Bitcoin. And he's convinced Bitcoin is going to go up and everyone will be glad. Right now, of course, he's lost a lot of money. Yeah, I know. Right now, he's lost a lot of money, but he's still continuing to buy. He says it's fine. He trusts it's going to go up again. He's like the biggest Bitcoin proponent in the world, bigger than Elon Musk. Almost more than him.
Elon Musk lost money too.
But Elon Musk actually sold his Bitcoin and moved it to like Doge or something. But
no, he lost like 700.
Yeah, he lost the money on it too. But anyway, what he's going to do, but now he's being sued because apparently he's been living in Washington, D.C. for 10 years and he's been claiming he lived somewhere else to avoid taxes. So they want him to pay income tax for the back 10 years. So we'll see what that comes out to be. And Newsom is going to fix the homeless problem again by doing the same thing he did when he was mayor. When he was mayor, he claimed he had fixed the homeless problem by passing the Care Not Cash Act, which would provide care for the homeless people, but now he's passing a statewide version of the same thing. In both cases, it's exactly the same as what London Breed is doing. They take the people that are like on drugs and they say, well, we'll redivert you to drug programs and to a housing program, except those programs don't exist. So in fact, there is no housing for you and there is no drug treatment, but they pretend they're doing that.
No, you go down to downtown, you see a lot of homeless.
Oh yes, and that's because
They just keep on coming.
Yeah, and that's because the only thing, yeah, so the current system is they go to, they followed one person, they spent $4 million in a year on just a few people, putting them in ambulances when they collapse, and then putting them back on the street and then arresting them and letting them out of jail, because we don't have any good place to put them, so they just cycle through the system. And
the previous former supervisors and the supervisor, they got beaten on Market Street. And now the guy is homeless and then the court just released it for him.
yes.
No charges, no nothing.
Yes, that's what happens. So the current system, they've tried to not put them in jail because that seems wrong, and instead they try to divert them to programs which are all full and don't have any room. So it's we seem to just be running around in circles with this. Anyway, so let me stop this recording and